Good morning. Dzogchen again today, a text that I don't think I have taught for a very long time. Key points in Dzogchen practice. By one of Longchenpa's students. Not well known. Known as happy vagrant or carefree vagrant. He wandered about, didn't get famous. It's an old text. I kind of like it because it gives some real simplicity towards Dzogchen. And everybody overcomplicates things. It really isn't that complex. Your thoughts are complex. That's why you can't think it. Let go. Give up. Stop trying to understand Dzogchen. The only thing to understand are the instructions. In following them, there is nothing you're going to find that is understandable. The key is Guru Yoga. The door is your own mind. Find the key. Find the door. Without the key, the door to your own mind will not open. With the key, Guru Yoga, but not knowing where the door is, you'll wander about with a key in your pocket. Big deal. The two together. That was an analogy. Chuku kundu zongpo gompo yi dorji sempa garab dorji dang shere singli bardu shin labde dedam abzan tata tusum chi Dzogchen jupe lama la solwa deb again bema junila solwa deb dorje chang chi tilo narudang Marpa mila gompo tsatsapa Na pupadang palden drupa sok Kargyu lama namla solwa deb O chen lama namla solwa Chen lama namla solwa deb Aginwari lama namla solwa deb Shakya lama namla solwa deb Nyandu dang yundran lama namla solwa deb kondu zhongdang yerme pa gongarab dorjijin trag pa jetidang nisume pa Alamanam chetente chong. When feelings of impermanence and weariness arise in my mind, the busyness of appearing to practice this life will never provide a chance to genuinely accomplish the sacred Dharma. May the real renunciation dawn for me. Unless I train in compassion and the excellent Bodhisattva, in the darkness of clinging to selfish aims, there will never be a chance to illuminate the excellent path of Mahayana. May I train in the true and eminent Bodhisattva. Y'all understand that word, Bodhisattva? Bodhi, thus gone beyond. Sita, consciousness, awareness, mind, gone beyond mind, gone beyond consciousness, gone beyond awareness. And beyond is the within, and the within is beyond. I commit acts which seem to benefit others, although I have not reached the state of a noble being. These acts, in fact, don't help others and cause me to fetter myself, being invested in the outcome. Without fooling myself with distractions and bustle, may I practice diligently in secluded places. Means and knowledge separated are like a man with a broken leg who lacks the power to journey the paths and bhumis to omniscience. While uniting emptiness and compassion, development and completion, method and wisdom, the two accumulations, may I embark on the unmistaken path. Without receiving the blessings of a master endowed with the lineage, I won't realize the natural state by pushing my practice. Though an auspicious coincidence of perfect devotion, may I obtain the supreme empowerment transmitting the lineage of realization. The great perfection beyond all concepts, luminous with awareness, awake alive. Through the instruction of freely resting in the innate mode, may I attain stability in the level of exhaustion. When once time arrives to bring benefit to beings, may I don the armor of never tiring of helping others. May I alone liberate my infinite mothers from the river of samsaric existence. No, that's not all of it. but it's pretty. It's the summary. Basically, here in brief, he explains the key points of practice in the context of Dzogchen. All your practices, if you are practicing Dzogchen, as well as other things, such as perhaps Nundro, don't separate and think of them as different. Practice Nundro in the context of Dzogchen. Practice sadhana in the context of Dzogchen. First of all, align your channels. It makes everything else so much easier. That is, on a comfortable seat, assume the sevenfold posture of Vairochana in a relaxed and comfortable way. So what you do is, you align your channels, whether you're doing the seven-pointed posture of Vairochana if you are young and can, or the Maitreya position if you are unable to do the lotus position. Then you relax into it. It's okay to have a backrest, a lumbar support, a knee strap, even a chin rest. It's fine. Use useful stuff so that you can really relax like this without losing alignment. Look with wide open eyes. That does not mean bug-eyed. That means relaxed but open, not the half-mast of common trekcha. In this, they're going to teach you some new methods in here. They're just methods. In this method, you're facing straight ahead, not a little bit down. Your eyes are not following the line of your nose. They're looking straight ahead and they are open. Like this. Do not forbid them to blink. Otherwise, your eyeballs will dry out. Look into the sky straight before you. Do you remember 6th grade science, earth science, where you learned about the names of clouds and weather? And you learned that the sky is not up above you as a dome, but begins at the ground and extends forever into space where the stars are. Do you remember learning that? So settle your eyes wide open and facing ahead into the sky. This is sky. In other texts, it will say if you must find a focus, you may find a focus 2 meters in front of you in the empty space. So don't sit with your nose on a wall for this one. Let your breathing flow naturally, not through your nose, but very gently, predominantly through your mouth. Now, there's reason for each of these points in this exercise. So do not disregard them or think, well, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it with my eyes closed, because that's my habit. Well, you can, but then it's not this, it's something else that you're making up. Do let me know eventually if it works. Eventually means in a few years. Following this, cultivate renunciation, weariness, compassion, and bodhicitta. Renunciation. Stop trying to make it perfect for your personal values of perfect, which may have something to do with finer or cleaner or more organized or. Leave it alone. That's renunciation. Stop trying to get it right. You're all chasing. I see this in the email constantly. I just wanted to check in and see if I'm doing it right. You're all chasing this mythical beast called the right. It's a snark. Snipe, actually, what we call them. You're on a snipe hunt. You're never going to get it all right. You're never going to get to where you think perfect is. You're like when you want a cart horse, a particularly stupid cart horse. This doesn't work on mules. To go forward, you have a carrot on a string on a long stick, and you sit in the carriage and you hold the stick out so that it's in front of the horse. The carrot is like 2-3 feet in front of the horse, and the horse walks forward to get the carrot. Well, he's pulling the cart. Some carts even have a little stick rest there. He's pulling the cart. This only works on the really stupid ones. He's pulling the cart, he's seeing the carrot, he's walking after the carrot. You're perfect. You're getting it right. It's hanging off the end of a metaphorical stick in front of your nose, and as you walk towards it, it moves. If you ever get your stove clean enough, I'm talking to myself here, you will notice that your sink is now dirty in comparison. I think I'll leave it the way it is. It's good enough to cook on. Maybe eventually someone will clean it for me, or maybe not. It's easier in a cave. They're naturally dirty. So you don't clean them. They have dirt floors. So yeah, you can sweep the debris out, the dropped vegetable peels and things. But that's about it. Here, with so many toys that there isn't time to play with them all, so they accumulate dust, so you feel bad if you don't dust them. This is this whole cycle of trying to get to perfect, trying to get it right. Stop. Let go. This is what I'm talking about, renunciation. Renounce perfect. Renounce right. Relax and leave it be the funky way it is. Arise, Ninji, in your heart. My favorite way of doing that is visualizing a purring kitten on my heart chakra. It makes my heart go, ooh. And then I let that kitten reincarnate as all beings everywhere reincarnate. Very simple. Open your heart. There's other methods. Use the one you like. After this, resting in renunciation, weariness of chasing your damn carrot, Bodhisattva. Visualize your root guru above the crown of your head in their ordinary form, just like you see them. Do they wear jeans and a plaid shirt? In jeans and a plaid shirt or a sweatshirt? Do they wear ceremonial robes and like to? Great, in ceremonial robes. Visualize your teacher. And with your heart, with tear-filled devotion, with all the love in your heart, love, desire, and that yearning that wants something, aim that at your teacher. You know that dissatisfaction that pervades everything? You always want something. And you don't even know what it is. Maybe you want to get laid. Maybe you think it's that. And then you get laid and you have your orgasm. Now you want a cigarette. And then you think it's that. Then you have your cigarette and now you want to eat something because you're hungry. Or you want to go to sleep because you're tired. There's a carrot dangling in front of you, running in front of you, this want thing. And yeah, you change its name as you grab each thing, but it never satisfies. I want something. Put your teacher there. I want the blessing of my teacher. Pray, supplicate, ask, so that the realization of the profound path may quickly dawn within you. Not just in mere words or platitudes, pretty though they are. For the real Dzogchen to occur, in your mind you must receive the transmission of the blessings of the mind of the master who possesses the lineage. His transmission is the key. And it depends upon the devotion of the disciple. If you don't open your mouth, the food won't go in. You ever try to feed a baby something it didn't want to eat? Or stick a pill in a cat? It's really hard to do. If you don't open your mouth, the food won't go in. The devotion opens your heart to allow that communication. Most communication is, hey, see me, here's my history, here's what I look like, here's what I do, here's my story. That's not the communication we're looking for. Your story and your teacher's story are just decorations around the point. Curlicues. Don't be distracted by all the curlicues. The point is the transmission. And the transmission won't happen until you open your mouth. No matter how many peanuts I throw towards your mouth, even if my aim is perfect, if your mouth is closed, they won't go in. And frankly, my aim is not always perfect. Your devotion to your root teacher which is not blind obedience to the thoughts you thought that you thought they said. Don't do that. We're tricksy little critters. We really like to trick ourselves. We make up stories. These tricksy little stories. You're so want the teacher to love you. Who cares if they even like you? You just want what they've got, the transmission. All the tricksy stories about this and my relationship and that, and do you realize it's all in your mind? Everything you think is in your mind. That's where you be thinking shit. Open your mind and trust. Not the story, the transmission. Not what you think the transmission was or will be. Those are thoughts. The transmission is not a thought. Without getting involved in too much chanting and forced practice, nonetheless, use your speech chakra to supplicate your teacher one-pointedly. This is necessary. You actually have to use your out loud. You can recite a small prayer. You can say Karmapa Cheno, if that's the archetype you're using. You can say Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava Cheno. Hear me. Please give me your blessing. But you gotta say it and you gotta mean it for it to work. I mean, really mean it. Be willing and open to what comes, even if it's not what you think should come. This is part of the key points of visualization for receiving the 4 empowerments. When we give the 4 Wongs, traditionally the first Wong is got lots of words and intellectual explanations to get your intellect nice and busy with some concepts so it leaves you alone for a minute. Second Wong is more likely poetry to invoke certain feelings, to get your feelings going around with your intellect there so they leave you alone for a minute and stop interfering. Third Wong is a physical symbol. Usually done, no reason why you shouldn't understand how this all happens, by silently holding up a crystal. In old Tibet, this was one of, clear quartz crystal was one of the few objects which was transparent. They didn't have glass much, especially among the nomads, too breakable. But somebody might, a Lama who was teaching might have one of these. They were quartz mines. So the example they're showing you is transparent. Selwa. Clear. You can see through it. I can actually see when I put it to my eye and look through it, y'all quite clearly. The fourth Wong is the one that's really important. And it's not what you think it is. The fourth Wong is always available. It is not based in time or located in space. Once you have received it, it's always there. Until such time as that is obvious to you, work on your devotion. Here, meditation does not mean the cultivation of an absent-minded, vacant, indifferent state of the all-ground. That's Shine. Also, it doesn't mean the cultivation of the conscious and tranquil state of the all-ground consciousness. It's not just exclusive focus on Dharmakaya, Great Mother Ocean, all ground. It's not just a focus on Dharmakaya and the awareness which is aware of Dharmakaya. You're still leaning to the side a little bit. It does not mean to cultivate a blank state of non-conceptual experience or the variegated thoughts that appear as objects. It's not watching the thoughts happen. It's the triad as one of the infinite openness, the vast ground of mind, the all ground, the awareness which sees the all ground, the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions which dance arising in the all ground and dissolve in the all ground without affecting the all ground. It is not limited to one more than the other. It is balance. Without investment in what arises, renunciation. With utter openness, to the experiencer, Bodhisattva. With complete awareness of the emptiness of all phenomena. Shunyata. Where do Bodhisattva and shunyata come together in awareness as awareness. Look at your own mind. Well then, what is meditation? When your past thought is finished, before the next one yet comes, so let them slow down. It takes a while of sitting there before they slow down enough for you to spot this. When you are free from conceptual reckoning in the present moment, between the thoughts, being empty and cognizant dawns as the state of mind which is like space. And it doesn't go away when the thoughts come up, because the friggin' things are transparent. So it is not obscured by thinking, feeling, and perceiving. This itself is the great perfection transcending concepts, the cutting through of primordial purity, innate unfuckupableness. The open and naked exhaustion of phenomena. Look for yourself later, on your own time, because it takes a while for this to work. Align your channels and just sit there. So don't try to force anything. Don't try to do anything. Breathe gently through your mouth mostly, without occluding your nose. Your thoughts will slow down after a while. How long? Depends on how agitated you were when you started. A while. When they have slowed down, look between them. When the next one arises, look through it at what was, not a what. Look through it at the between. When it dissipates, continue to look between. When the next one arises, look right through it. It's transparent at the between. Keep sitting like this again and again until you notice that the looker is simply the lucidity or the ability to think and feel of the looked at. That's a noticing, not a creating. The looker has never been anything other than that. But you don't know that. Oh, you've heard it, you can say the words. So yeah, that, and anybody can say the words, read them in a book. What we have here is a matter of noticing it yourself. Capiche? This is exactly what you should recognize. To sustain the practice means simply to rest in naturalness after recognizing in any context, whether it be view, meditation, or conduct. Tawa, Gompa, Sopa. That's a friggin' funky word for sopa, but yeah, you could. This is exactly what should be revealed in its naked state. Unless you actually experience this which transcends your understanding. One teaching will tell you to be free from arising, dwelling, and ceasing. Another one will say it is such and such, and you'll hear all these Dharma rumors out of context. And you won't know what to believe. Don't believe any of them. Look for yourself. At some point, practitioners do notice that all the texts disagree with each other. See the crystal? I'm pointing at it with both my fingers. They're pointing in opposite directions. They're pointing at the same thing. Dharmakaya is naked and empty awareness, which transcends concepts and cannot be established as having concrete existence. It's not like there is a Dharmakaya out there someplace, or in there someplace, or over there, or back there. It's not like that. It's when I talk to you guys about another direction altogether. I think I need new glasses. It's still fuzzy. Having concrete existence, where am I? Apart from a mere image, by means of descriptive words, by analysis, by intellect, that's really not going to lead you to it. But when the blessings of your teacher coincide with the power from your own meditation practice, you will cut through all the dancing thoughts of misconception. Just like a small child awakening to the faculty of intelligent thought. When that has happened, it is essential not to abandon that discovery, but to cultivate it continuously with diligence. This is where you're getting somewhere, but it's going to wear off if you don't keep going. Remember, I've said don't stop. Don't stop because you get to a plateau. You can rest a little bit, but don't stop here. Several times in your practice, it will feel as if it's okay to just stop. If you do it too soon, it wears off and you have to start over again. You may ask how I know this. Yep, more than once. I'm not a very good student or a very bright practitioner, and I have great compassion for my dear teacher, who actually put up with me. Amazing. While a beginner, if you're too slack, there is the risk of slipping back into non-stop delusion. So you have to remain mindful pretty constantly. Whether there is stillness, thought, occurrence, or the noticing of them. It is essential to practice while looking directly into the fresh awareness of the observer. Oh, in between the thoughts, between the feelings and the perceptions. What you see is only you. The observer and the observed are obviously inseparable. But don't take my word for this. Go practice. While meditating in this way, the signs of manifest awareness is when it seems to you that you have even more thoughts, activity, and agitation, and even more disturbing emotions than before. What Rinpoche used to say about this, his analogy was, you know, in the monsoon time when the rains come and all that weird green stuff grows up in the jungle? Like that. You're watering it by practicing and paying attention to it. That was his analogy. All that weird green stuff in the jungle that grows up during monsoon. And yeah, there's a lot of weird plants growing up in the jungle there. Tall, where they were hardly anything before. An endless number of variations on the experiences of the nyams will occur. Variations on bliss, clarity, non-thought, grouch, all of this. It will occur. A little bit like this, but a little bit like that, because we're creative, so we'll make them be very somehow personal to us. The lights came in from the left and they were purple, and then later they became blue. Yeah, that stuff. Or I get all blissed out when I do that. It's all empty. There's nothing left to do. Those are nyams. Don't try to accept or reject them, or fixate on them in any way. Rather, practice while looking directly into the awareness which experiences them. When you're having a nyam, find the haver of the nyam. In this way, they become your friends. If you begin to fixate on those experiences, you will get tied up in that fixation, so don't do that. Leave them be. If your mind gets drowsy or dull, not clear and lucid, and that happens when you sit for long and long, you can clear it in this way. Visualize the letter Ah, or a sphere of light in your heart, and send it out through the crown of your head while leaving your breath exhaled. Imagine that I cannot read this well. Imagine that it lingers in the air about the length of an arrow above you. Arrow's length. Everybody knows how long an arrow is. With your breath held on the out-breath, but without closing your glottis. Visualize the ah as you breathe out. Goes up. And you rest on the out-breath until you need to breathe again. If you get too agitated, anxious, twitchy, don't want to, you're throwing up all sorts of things. Thinking too fast. Here's another method. Deeply relax your body. Lower your gaze and imagine a tiny tickly at the tip of your nose. Or, when there is a clear and cloudless sky, listen to me, with your back to the sun. Safety issue. In a clear and cloudless sky, when that opportunity arises, with your back to the sun, direct your eyes to the center of space and breathe very gently, keeping your breath exhaled slightly. Remember, we're through the mouth here. We're breathing shallowly, just a little bit, but we're breathing into the abdomen. If you find you're beginning to yawn when you do this, it means you're doing it too strong. You need to relax it more. A little bit more breath, more air. Okay? As you do this, in an instant, the open, naked Dharmakaya of awareness and this emptiness will appear from within yourself. This realization of the threefold sky is a most profound instruction. So this is a method, a practice that might help you. Do you have questions on it right now? I'm going to just stop here to check. Do you have questions on this particular practice, facing away from the sun into the empty sky? Anything coming?
Not yet. There's other questions, but not on the sky gazing yet.
Are anything on direct instructions, how-tos, not whys?
There was a question about the gaze.
Mm-hmm.
And is it spread like panoramic, or is it focused as you do this?
It is relaxed. In the sky gazing one?
General practice.
In these practices here, because this is teaching a slightly different way. I've had a number of different ways of doing that. This is another one. They're all slight differences that will do the same thing, but work better for some people and less for other people. This gaze is open but not fixated. It's somewhat panoramic. It usually starts with a point and then you let go of the point. Anything else?
On sky or just generally?
I'm taking general, but I'm taking practical how-tos, not why-fors.
Okay. You spoke earlier about the carrot and going forward and constantly chasing the carrot. Actually, no, that's not related to this question. The question is how to overcome resistance to blessings. If you're receiving the teachings, but there's a...
But you're blocking it.
Yeah.
More Guru Yoga. Traditionally, at this point, we would recommend more prostrations to the lineage tree. But you may have great resistance to doing that also. If so, then more time spent with Lam Rim. Literally. Go study Lam Rim, Sutrayana. There are many teachers who will be happy to teach that to you. Next.
When visualizing the ah as it travels from the heart, are you visualizing it traveling through the central channel?
Yes. That was easy.
Okay. And on the sky viewing, what if one sees a Yidam deity come from the sky during gazing?
Treat it the same way as any other thought, feeling, or perception. Don't pay it. No, never mind. Let it happen. Don't block it. Don't grab it. Leave it be. There are certain practices in which that really quite commonly does happen. Not this one, but some of the others. And I will not teach you those practices until you are truly capable of leaving it be. Because otherwise, you'll just waste my time and yours, and possibly do yourself a mischief. Next.
Can you clarify about the yawning, and is that the same for all practices?
I do not know if it is the same for all practices. I know in this practice, with the shallow breathing and resting on the out-breath through the mouth, and it's not super shallow. If you start yawning, you're making it too shallow. It's one of the side effects that happens from that mistake. If you make it too deep, you will become agitated. If you make it too shallow, you will yawn. Or feel the need to yawn, whether you actually do it or not. Like that. Anything else?
Yes, a couple of people ask questions about breathing through the mouth. I have a problem finding breathing through the mouth comfortable and relaxing. How do I fix this?
Practice it.
And questions about the mouth becoming dry as you mouth breathe.
Keep a glass of water beside you. Take a sip as you need to.
Let's see. And a question about the guru visualization. When we visualize the guru above our head, is the guru facing us or in the same direction as we're facing?
Facing you. That's not obvious. You're talking to them. Of course they're looking at you.
Let's see. Sometimes when I sit to practice, my head starts moving in circles. Is that also a nyam? Do I let it be?
That's a distraction. Get a taller backrest with something that extends so that your head just touches it. That might help. Don't move your head in circles. Find a way that you can not move your head in circles. Cheat. Put something behind your head that you can feel. If it starts to move, hold it still. Relax into the stillness. All sorts of little things will happen to keep you from actually doing this. Don't co-it. Follow the instructions, do the practice, see what happens. Any more?
Are we there yet? What are the signs that the practice is progressing well?
Nothing happens. You'll see.
To supplicate the root guru, is it okay to use the text in Nundro? Or can we come up with something original?
Sure. Yes to both of those. All that matters is that you supplicate from the heart. And that you use words. Use your speech chakra. Whether you read a text or make something up, entirely up to you. As long as you feel it, as well as say it. Any more details that I seem to have left out?
Which guru does one visualize as the main guru?
The one you feel devotion to? Whether that's a symbol or a person? Anything more?
Yes. Can you do this practice at night before bed lying down?
No, those are not the instructions. This practice is done sitting up. There are other practices that you do before bed lying down, but this is not that category. This is different.
Is the fourth wong given passively by interacting with or contemplating the guru, or is it only given actively by ritual or ceremony?
The fourth wong does not require any ceremony. It can be given with a ceremony if someone happens to be fond of doing things in a ceremonial way, but it is not a requirement of it. Fourth wong is utter simplicity. It's just the showing. In which no thing is shown. Anything more, or shall I go on yet?
You can go on from here.
Whatever takes place at this point while you're doing this, whether it be the 6 types of cognition, that means the sense organs plus thoughts and feelings, or the sensory cognitions counting the yi as the 6th, thoughts relating to the 5 poisons of the emotions, fluctuations in temporary experiences. It manifests as a display of the expression of awareness bodhisattva. So, yeah, stuff happens. You get jnans. And you have thoughts. And there are feelings and sensations. So what? There is no separation here between the moving and the stillness, between the dance of phenomena, thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, and the awareness which do dance, and the infinite openness of that awareness. They are not separate, so don't grab and don't shove. They are equal in appearing. They are equally empty. They are equally real and equally false. All of them are nothing but the magical display of awareness. So don't get involved in negating or approving, accepting or rejecting, clinging or fixating on them as something to be discarded or as a remedy. Don't grab, but don't shove. This isn't where we use pet shoves or pops. It's a different practice. In this practice, in this way of doing it, you don't do anything to it. Don't grab, don't shove. This is important. Relax openly and free from fixation into a fresh state of awareness of that which experiences. Rigpa, experiencer, awareness. In this way, it is essential to train the strength of your realization through naturally liberating whatever arises. Naturally liberating means let go. Don't grab. And don't shove. Sopa, the third word of Garabdurji, occurs perfectly spontaneously. You don't have to make it happen. You can't make it not happen. Notice this. Gom, the method, and this is a method of Gom, meditation, will assist you in noticing this. It will bring it to your attention. You don't accomplish Sopa, which is why I have a war with the translation conduct. You don't accomplish Sopa. You notice Sopa. Gom brings Sopa to your attention. That's all there is to it. These are just other ways, this sitting, looking at the sky. Sky gazing is useful because you want to be doing something, don't you? And going up on top of a mountain where the sky is straight ahead is a nice adventure. You can pretend you're actually accomplishing something, can't you? The sky is right here in this room. By destroying the fixation of remedy, no defilement will remain in your nature. Do you understand that? By stopping trying to fix everything. That's where you're getting stuck. You're trying to fix it. This is all part of, but it's not perfect and I need to make it perfect. I'm not perfect, I need to get better. What was that old thing back in the 70s, 80s? Every day in every way I am getting better and better.
That was, yeah, the
Some
sort
kind of
early neuro-linguistic programming. I think it was older, like the 50s even.
It may have been. I remember it from early on.
Yeah,
Like before Cave.
I remember it as well.
You really gotta let go of all these ambitions. Don't expect to attain enlightenment in the future within the mire of man-made assumptions. Take your path as the three kayas that are naturally present in yourself at this very moment. That naturally is itself the very special quality of Dzogchen. If a practitioner actually gets this, the sun of happiness will shine from within no matter where they stay. Obstacles and sidetracks all result from hope and fear, from clinging to and fixating on things as real. Therefore, it is essential to avoid fixating on things in general, anything whatsoever. Whatever you experience, sickness in your body, pain in your mind, depression, a real disturbing emotion, clinging and fixation, accepting and rejecting, notice it, identify it. I'm stuck in that. Supplicate your teacher. Receive their blessings. Minutely examine and track down, not just as a rough understanding, the mind that accepts or rejects. Where does it come from? Where is it happening? Where does it go? Basic key. Inner mind Dzogchen. When you have a disturbance in your practice, maybe your head's going in circles. Maybe you twitch every time you start to settle into it. Maybe you just don't wanna. I don't wanna. A resistance. Whatever it is, find the haver of that. Supplicate your teacher to show you the nature of the experiencer of the experience that is bothering you, and look for it. Completely simple. Not a lot of instructions here. I'm not even taking questions. I can't imagine anything in that you can get creative with. By doing this, you will find that the experiencer itself doesn't exist as anything whatsoever. Doesn't remain anywhere either. You cannot possibly avoid experiencing wakefulness which transcends the notion of perceiver and perceived, and which is not describable in words, and which I cannot tell you about. You will have to see it for yourself. When you are agitated, look and see what is agitated. When you are peaceful, look and see what is peaceful. When you are angry at yourself, look and see what is angry. This is the experiencer of the experiences. Yeah, me, I. That one. The one who feels feelings, thinks thoughts, and perceives perceptions. That one. Beseech, pray to your root guru to show you that as it really is, and then go looking for it. Devotion to the Master is the king of all enhancement practices. So give up regarding them as an ordinary human being. Give up believing that they are the way you think they are. You got thoughts about your teacher. You think they're motherly. I know people all think I'm motherly, and I'm not. Might be fatherly at times. I've never been pregnant. I don't want to have kids. I've always used 2 forms of contraception, whatever I got up to, because I was really determined not to have kids. And yet you all think I'm motherly just because I look like an old lady. Some of you think I'm fierce. Some of you think I'm really sweet and peaceful. Do you please realize that you think that? Those are your thoughts. If I were to place 6 people who think they're my student in a room together to discuss me, and who they think I really am inside, the personality, there would be utter disagreement. Because everyone has a sensory perception with the ears or the eyes, interprets it as such and such, thinks about it, and then feels about it. By that time, you've distorted it considerably. So instead of projecting onto the teacher, they are like this or like that. Oh, they are fully enlightened. They should walk through walls, not spill their coffee on their Zen. Whatever. You perceived that they spilled their coffee on their Zen earlier today. That was all in your mind, that there's a coffee stain right here. I did not experience that. You did. Or not. Maybe you experienced something else. I'm a little curious. How many of you saw me spill coffee down my front and how many of you didn't? Just a little poll on the chats if you don't mind.
Okay. Did Lama Lena spill coffee on her Zen?
Yeah. I'm making a point with this experiment. By practicing in this way, you will find that the observer, the practicer, doesn't remain anywhere or exist in any way separate from the practicing and the practiced, the observing and the observed. You cannot differentiate this. If you alternate between meditation on impermanence, compassion, development stage, that refers to the tantras, and completion stage, that refers to this practice, both with and without attributes. Completion stage with attributes is doing any of the practices I've taught you. Completion stage without attributes is just sitting there as Dzogchen, without separating. This will be more effective even. So don't, at most times, especially in the beginning, do the auxiliary doing practices that support the not doing of Dzogchen. Because you need support until you don't. And don't forget to dedicate the merits. In between sessions, at least walk around regarding all perceptions as a magical display, a dream. Even better, don't ever end your sessions. Walk around or sit there. Whatever you do while you're doing it, recognize the nature of the doer. At night, dream yoga and yoga of sleep. If, as you're about to sleep, and this is another method, different from the dream yoga I've taught you, please don't be confused by being taught a number of different methods. Norbu Rinpoche did this, and I saw some most unfortunate side effects occur with some of his students being unable to pick and choose and trying to do all of them. It doesn't work that way. Yes, when you get a new method, you have a shiny new toy, give it a try, see what it does. See how it feels to you. Does it feel like properly stroking your energy channels, or does it feel like petting the cat backwards? Minus the teeth and claws, which will usually come out if you do that. You will find a few that you like. Do those. I recommend that you have one main practice, whatever that is at the moment, and no more than 2 auxiliary practices, with the exception of date-oriented practices such as hanging prayer flags on specific days. That's not considered another practice you're doing. That's something you do that day. Or Gana Puja. Tsok on certain days. Yeah, that doesn't count for the 3 you can have. One main one and 2 auxiliary ones. That usually works best. So let's say you're doing Dzogchen, Trekcha. But you're also doing dream yoga. Okay, that's one. They synergize, they will synergize. But you're also doing a couple of tantric sadhanas, such as Chenrezig, because it helps your bodhicitta. Do we have sound?
Yes, we do.
So, under these circumstances, do not pick too many. A good 3 plus the occasionals that you do with friends, like a tsok or getting together and going out and hanging prayer flags or that sort of thing. Keep it to what's manageable. Otherwise, you're just gonna dilute yourself so far that you're like mostly water rather than mostly milk, like you occasionally get in India when you buy from the wrong farmer. Unless you resolve tawa, you won't be able to destroy the bonds that cling to the perceiver and the perceived. and think them real. You think you're real. And you think what you see and feel and hear and think and all of that's real. And that's why it hurts. It is essential while meditating to come to the conclusion, to notice unequivocally, to resolve that all phenomena are not inherently existent from their own side, are pervasive everywhere, are spontaneously present. From that you can see that what you see is you. To sustain continuity in meditation is also necessary, but it's a little bit buggy. The trick of sustaining continuity is to relax into a natural continuity rather than to make one up and try to impose it on yourself. Thinking it's this way or that way is a trap. Don't fall in. Your view should be as wide as the sky itself, but your behavior in regard to karma should be as narrow as a hair. Just because it's not real doesn't mean you can fuck with it. Please take this to heart. Lots of people fall off that one too. They try to fake crazy wisdom to get the status of being a crazy yogi. Really. This is quite unnecessary. Wrong page. I'm going to pause here. Do you get the point? Sky gazing is very helpful for many people. One new practice at a time. I haven't taught you this particular method of breathing with sky gazing and its purpose before. Let's go with questions again.
Well, first let's talk about that poll. The majority of people said no. But there were a few other responses where people weren't sure because they were distracted or were second guessing themselves. And one student said it was a sign I should get you more coffee. But 3 people said yes on this and said you did, and everybody else said no, and everybody from the Spanish channel said no.
Interesting. Okay.
But
I was just curious.
For me, it was the people who weren't sure one way or the other that I found interesting. Yes.
Yes, you should get me more coffee.
I should. So, a question that came up on these practices while I get you more coffee had to do with discomforts while practicing. People who say are not comfortable with having the mouth open and breathing that way, and when it comes to discomforts, are you supposed to ignore them? What should you do?
Okay, there's two kinds of discomforts. Dangerous ones and not dangerous ones. This is where your common sense comes in. If you are cold, not just a little bit, but feeling really very cold, that could be dangerous and lead to hypothermia. Take a break, go get a sweater. If your mouth dries out a little bit, take a sip of water. Minor discomforts which are not dangerous, use them as an experience. Ooh, what has a dry mouth and itchy on their nose? Go find the feeler of the sensation, experience of the discomfort, after determining that it is not a dangerous discomfort. Please do differentiate between dangerous discomforts, which will just get you laughed at by a Tibetan, and not dangerous discomforts. I'd say I know of any number of people who have ignored dangerous discomforts and done themselves a severe mischief. And some of them are Tibetan Lamas. I'm not going to mention names. Some of them rather well-known Tibetan Lamas. Both Tibetans and Westerners also fall off the crazy wisdom thing. So if it's just a little discomfort, let it be. It's a sensation. You will be having them. Notice them. Notice the haver of the sensation. How does it change when it has this sensation or that sensation? What changes? What does not? See it for yourself. Other questions here?
Yeah, one more in-depth question on the breathing that we missed earlier. To clarify, does one take a full breath, then breathe out slightly, then breathe in slightly so there's always breath in the belly? Or is this breathing out fully, then breathing shallowly? They're into the mechanics of
The
it.
way I was shown this was to take a full breath in through my nose, blow it all the way out through my mouth. Rest on the out-breath without closing the glottis. Breathe in, but not super deep, about halfway. Softly, gently, slowly in, slowly out. Rest a little bit on the out-breath, but not to the point of disturbing air hunger. Rest on the out-breath with no air and with the air out of your lungs, not trying to force it all out, but comfortably out. That is a point where the thoughts ride the breath, at the point where the breath has been exhausted, before the next breath. it is easier to find the point after the previous thought has been exhausted before the next thought to look there. To relax in there as that, not just to look at it from outside, but to be that. Then when the breath comes in again and another thought arises, because thoughts ride the breath, that thought in itself is transparent and so does not interfere with what was perceived between the thoughts. It does not obscure it. You can still see the sky through the crystal. Imagine that that window shade were open and sky was visible out there. You can see it through the crystal. See how the crystal color changes when I move it? So, the crystal is a thought. Analogy, guys. Analogy. The crystal is a thought. You can see through it. It is transparent. Thoughts are. You don't make them transparent. They're all transparent. You just minutely focus on them so they don't look transparent to you because of the way you're focused. On the out-breath resting there, there's a bit of a gap. It's easier to see it through the gap. What you're seeing is the seer through the gap. Does that help with the breathing?
Is this a practice that you can do in a windowless room, where there's no view of the outside or the sky?
Perhaps. I've never tried. I mean, the sky is everywhere, right? Theoretically, you'd think so. However, many people find it easier to actually go and look at the wide open sky when it's without clouds. The instructions for this practice for best effect are on a cloudless day with the sun behind you. Don't forget to put the sun behind you. Do not do this with the sun falling on your face. Have I made that clear enough? Somebody's going to do it with the sun on their face and hurt themselves. I tried. Next.
Is it helpful to use inquiry questions like who or what is having this experience? Or is that too much mixing approaches with this practice?
Those inquiry questions may be helpful for some people in the very beginning. However, they do not necessarily need to be thought in words.
Is it possible to bypass the arising of these jnans with what the Guru Yoga does?
I have not heard of anyone doing that, but that does not say it is impossible.
What constitutes actual crazy wisdom?
When you see what you are, beyond doubt, then there is no need to maintain the illusion of being someone or other. That's crazy wisdom. You, the person who want me to see you, to know you, as a person, who want to know me, maybe even hang out with me somewhere, as a person. The relationship, the samaya, transcends this, because the practice transcends this. And when a practitioner is no longer invested in how they are perceived in any way, or in the results of such perceptions in any way, that's crazy wisdom. We follow certain patterns in life to project who we are, wear certain clothes, adopt certain hairstyles, follow certain norms. Crazy wisdom does not require that, nor does it require not doing that. It requires not being invested in the outcome of that. Whether you choose to play with wearing this outfit or that outfit, whether you choose to play with your hair or clothes, does not say whether it's crazy wisdom. Whether you care how it appears to others who can't see you anyway because they're so busy seeing what they're thinking about. That's crazy wisdom. You will see it on your teachers when you can. And no one can force you to see anything you can't. I remember trying to show the Westerners the dragons. All the Tibetans were standing in front of the caves because there were some really cool dragons playing in the sky, and we were all going, yeah, look at that one, there's a green one. And all the Westerners were going, huh, what, where, who, which? They couldn't see it. Dragons are pretty. I'd been around long enough, I was thinking Tibetan that time. Next question.
Can anyone do this practice?
Yes, I would think so.
They go on to ask, I took my refuge vows with you. How do I start my practice?
Join the next pointing out retreat if you haven't had one yet. However, I do it all the time, so if you've been attending most of my open teachings, the pointing out has been included, as it was today, in one way or another. I would recommend you begin with either Mahamudra or Maha'ati by listening to one of the tape teachings, since you've had the pointing out, if you were here today. And then following the instructions on the one you like better of those two. If on trying it you don't like either one of those, then I suggest you practice Chenrezig and maybe a little Vajrasattva and other tantras as they become available. Like that. And if none of those float your boat, I'm going to eventually get one of the students to lead a Lam Rim group, or 4 Turning Minds group of just the basic ordinary Nundro practice group for discussion. And there'll be books and things. But we haven't quite started that yet. We've still got Tara coming. There'll be a Tara practice coming online. Again, led by a student. It'll be a practice group rather than a set of teachings where you practice together. So you might check out some of those. First, get the teaching. They're all up there. I do repeat some teachings from time to time, but I also add in new ones, as today's was a new one added in that we'll probably continue to work with over time. Sky gazing. Next question.
If a teacher or temple is not available, can someone pursue the Dzogchen based on the videos only?
Yes, but you should get the transmission in real time. As in, like now, when we're in real time together. The reason for this is that not everyone can catch it when it's transmitted in a recording. Only some people catch it. It is easiest to catch in person. It is but we can't do that because of COVID right now. It is second easiest to catch in the same time, but different place, using online. It is third easiest to catch from a full video recording. It does not transmit by printed word to the best of our knowledge. Printed word is old. If it had done so, somebody would have noticed by now. Videos are new, so we're not that sure yet how it works. Person to person is old. We know that works. Theoretically. As will become obvious to you, time and space are not what you think they are. Nothing is. Next.
A couple of questions on combining practices. What the first question is, do exercises like Guru Yoga, the 9 breaths, and channel visualizations to unify clarity and emptiness count as 3 practices?
9 breaths goes with anything. It is like dedicating the merits and arising bodhicitta. Your channel practices would, so that one would not count. Depending on how involved your channel practices are. Tumo counts. It's pretty involved and pretty intensive, and you have to spend a lot of time on it to make it work well. If you're working the 6 yogas of Naropa or the equivalent in any of the lineages, that would count as a full practice. Probably your main practice if you're doing them, because they are intense and they are suitable as a main practice. That would combine nicely with Maha'ati or Mahamudra and maybe a little bit of sadhana. So, to some extent, certain practices are so minor and so goes with everything and is part of it that they don't separate out and count as a practice. The 9 breaths is one of those. Dedicating the merits is one of those. Arising bodhicitta is one of those. And Guru Yoga is one of those. These go with all practices are in the context of these three. Because sitting up straight with your channels in alignment is the 9 breaths. It is the same category as the 9 breaths. 9 breaths just adds to it. Guru Yoga is necessary for any kind of Mahamudra or Dzogchen maturation. You always dedicate the merits, and you always take refuge, which is Guru Yoga and Arise Bodhisattva at the beginning of every session. So these are not separate practices. A separate practice would be a full sadhana. A Chenrezig, a Manjushri, a Vajravarahi, Dorji Pagmo, a Yidam sadhana, a Tara. A whole practice would be the focus of Dzogchen. Dream yoga, if done properly, takes up enough time that it's a full practice. I hope this clarifies.
I think it did. Related to that, someone is asking, is it okay to combine Trekcha, Chenrezig, Vajrasattva, Tara, and sky gazing together?
Yes, but you're full. That's a lot of sadhanas. You may not wish to do each and every one of those sadhanas each and every day. That's entirely up to you, depends on your timing.
How to dovetail deity practice with Dzogchen? Is there a best deity for this purpose?
No. They're all the same thing anyway. However, if you're going to do deity practice, and they're not deities, they're archetypes, please. Somebody mistranslated that back in the times of Christian missionaries doing the translations. Same as the word wrathful. None of them are angry. They're beyond hope and fear and anger and all of the 5 poisons. They're fierce. There is a point in a full sadhana where everything absorbs back into the seed syllable and that absorbs into itself. That is the time to do Trekcha. If you are combining sadhana practice and Trekcha, then eventually that time of Trekcha in your sadhana will extend as long and even longer to the time you spend chanting and ringing bells. Anything more?
If one has had the, going back to the getting pointing out via video, if one has had the pointing out in real time, then will working with the various practices help one recognize what was pointed out?
Yes. That was a one-word answer.
Okay. So, a number of these are how-tos and trying to figure out which practices are separate practices in terms of counting up 3 practices to focus on.
You're going for minutiae. If you don't have time to do it all, you're doing too many. Okay? If you don't have time and focus to do all the practices you want to do, then there's too many. If you do have time and focus to do them all, go ahead. Is there anything in particular about which ones go together that needs to be clarified?
A question about, is Salon a separate practice?
Yes.
Okay.
Salong is 6 yogas of Naropa. It's energy channel work. It's quite involved, and if you're doing it well, it's going to take quite a lot of time, several hours a day. You really wouldn't have time to mix that with a long sadhana, which takes an hour or so, plus mantra, and a lot of sitting trekcha, plus the necessary bits for dream yoga. You don't even have time to pee in that sadhana, in that situation. So have a look. I'm trying to encourage you here not to set rules, but trying to encourage you to really put your heart into what you are doing rather than spread yourself way too thin over too much bread, so that you will actually get the results you're trying to get from the different practices, or accept the non-results that you're trying to accept in Dzogchen. Anything more?
Quick medical question, or two related.
Okay.
Can the sky gazing practice aggravate my lung problems? Is there a danger, or should I try it and see what happens?
Try it and see what happens. If you have asthma, please do not pick a high pollen count day or place to be outside. If you have COPD or other respiratory problems, I would recommend the 9 breaths before you do it, just to clear that out a bit. I do not recommend doing the 9 breaths in a high pollen count environment. Go in the room with your air filter to do them. So some of this depends on your breathing problems. If you have only one lung, you may find that you need to breathe deeper than half. And you can adjust this for your own circumstances. The idea and the important bit is not how deep you breathe, although this is not a deep breathing exercise, you hyperventilate, but that resting on the out-breath is the key. You can breathe as deep as you need to. Rest on the out-breath. When I breathe out, I'm going to raise my hand when it's all the way out. Do you see how long I'm resting on the out-breath? That's breathing in again at the very beginning of air hunger, of air need, not waiting until I'm very hungry for air. Did you catch that pattern? Anything else?
Yeah. Is it necessary to practice some type of body work to help the other practice, like Qigong, yoga?
Qigong, yoga, physical therapy, or hitting the gym. Yeah, or bicycle riding, or playing basketball. It is a good idea to get enough exercise. It's good for the body. Stretching and yoga is probably one of the best things you can do. Qigong is a form of that. But if you'd rather play basketball, play basketball. Just stretch first. Next.
One moment, I need to go back to a previous question.
We're getting towards the end. So.
We are. Some of them are very detailed. It turns out the question on the lung problem was not lung as in the organ, but lung as in transmission.
Oh, they have a problem with rising lung.
Yes.
Thank you. This should settle it nicely. Do the deep breath in and all the way out through the mouth first before you begin, and then see what happens.
And what is a good schedule for this practice?
That would depend on your life. Do you have little kids? Do you have to get them off to school and thereby first find their shoes? Well, late morning, early morning, you'd have to get up pretty damn early to do this before you have to deal with little kids. Conversely, are you retired and on your own, living alone, all day, whenever you want? I can't give you a schedule. Feel it out. Figure out what works for you. Because you're all different in where you're coming from. It's all the same where we're all going, but the difference is where we're coming from. So the map is a little different until you get towards the end, in which case it's always the same. Just friggin' sit there. And don't grab. Next.
I still do not understand about the 6 yogas. They include Tumo and Dream Yoga. Is this 2 practices, 1 practice? What are the 6 yogas?
They're usually done in order. Tumo is one of them. Dream Yoga is one of them. Poa is considered one of them. God, it's been a long time since I've read on that system or looked at that system. There's more. Concert practice is one of them. They all merge into each other. They all must be done under the proper supervision of a skilled teacher. Do not try them on your own. You will do yourself a serious mischief. Now, I'm not going to point at some of you by name who did try them on your own and who are now obviously having a difficulty with it. Just don't. Get the instructions from a teacher. I don't want to play with those and try to tell you what they are and give you any encouragement to go out there and try to do them on your own. First of all, you can't even touch them. They're considered secret practices. And you don't even touch them till you've done Nundro. And then they make you do another one. So unless you're willing to put that kind of effort in, forget about it. Next.
If I had the Haruka and Vajrayogini empowerments from the new Kadampa tradition, can I still practice these practices instead?
I do not wish to be involved with that tradition or discuss it. My answer there is I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Next.
What can I practice to increase devotion?
Guru Yoga. And Lamrim.
Yeah.
Any more, or are we
I
getting
think
there?
we're at the end here. A lot of, like I say, a lot of the different specific ones. You may want to suggest for people wanting specific help with their experiences about emailing you.
Oh God, then they're going to tell me all about their nyams.
Oh, but only in 1 paragraph, please. Otherwise, he's not going to
Look,
answer.
you can email me. There's a lot of stuff on here about specific experiences. You can email me, but get it into 1 short paragraph if it's about your yams. Because I really don't need to know that the light was blue and came from the left, and then it turned into 7 spheres, each one of which was a different color, and it then went up and back there. It was a yam. So if you need to, you can email me, but right now I'm not really. Just be brief, be really clear. End it with a question mark so I know what you're asking me about it. I get long emails without a single question mark in them. What should I say? And do be succinct. If it needs more, I'll ask you. Okay? Because I am way behind on my emails. I slog away at them every day. I enjoy many of them. But I need new glasses, I think. My eyes are not really cooperating. And so when they're really long, sometimes I can't remember the beginning at the end. So I have to reread it again to say, like, what? So please, be succinct and clear. Pretty please. Are we complete?
I think we are.
Then we are complete. Thank you for joining me today. The key point of the whole thing, just sit there. As Rinpoche used to say, mind, mind looking. Mind, mind being. Let go of what you think should happen, what you think will happen, what you think might happen. Relax and leave it be exactly as it is, without constantly scrabbling to fix it. Mind, mind looking. Ge wandi nyur duda che sala go parshu. I think you all know where the website is. There are many teachings there. If any of you wish to adopt a yogi and merge your practice with theirs by supporting them, which is only like $25 a month, that's enough to keep them in food, then send me an email to that effect, but make it a separate email from what else you're saying. Again, I try to keep things a little bit simple for my poor old eyes. Thank you. And I will see you next time. I don't even remember what's on next week, but I'm sure something is. Bye-bye.
Okay, you are off.